You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy.
And now, the hunt for the perfect album.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to the Hunt for the Perfect Album with Billy and Dave. How you doing, mate?
I am doing very, very well, my friend. How are you?
Mate, I'm great. I'm great because we're into an album that you've given me.
Indeed.
Why don't you tell the people what it is?
Well, you were such a big fan of Marquee Moon by television in the early days of this show that I thought I'd give you one of Tom Verlaine's, well, I think Tom Verlaine's best solo album. So television obviously had Marquee Moon, their debut. They had, it was called Adventure or something, whatever the second album was. Then they went their separate ways. Richard Lloyd went off and Tom Verlaine each did solo albums, neither of which set the world on fire. But then I think Verlaine's his sophomore solo album, Dreamtime, I think is pretty fucking great. And I thought it's where the television albums feel very 70s.
Yeah. I was going to bring this up, but it sounds like you're going
this,
to.
I think, feels more 80s.
Very 80s, yeah.
If Marquee Moon was Joy Division, this is New Order.
Yeah. I was very, very surprised by what a different sound this album has to Marquee Moon. This is...
Considering both his voice and his guitar are so unique sounding in isolation. Like, his voice is immediately recognizable. He's literally the only person on the planet in the 80s playing a Jazzmaster guitar, and the sound I find of his guitar is immediately recognizable. And yet this album feels, even though some tracks I think harken back to television, a lot of the album is a lot more kind of 80s pop, and I think the songwriting is a little bit more mature.
Yeah. Yeah, I threw it on, and the first thing that struck me was just how different it sounds. That said, you're lucky that this is very much still right up my alley. You know, this is really 80s power pop. It's very similar to, say, The Cars, who I really enjoy. Like, this is...
Yeah, I can hear a bit of Ocasek vibe in that.
Big fan of this album.
Cool.
It did take me a little bit longer to warm to than Marquee Moon did. I had to listen to this more times, and I don't absolutely love every track on it.
It doesn't have the consistency of Marquee Moon. Like, some
that's,
tracks, as I said, could almost come off one of the early television albums. Some tracks are straight sort of 80s guitar pop.
Very much. A
lot of variety through this album.
Yeah. That song, track 2, Penetration, which is just straight up about fucking. That has a real Jonathan Rickman vibe to me. It's...
Oh!
Yeah, like, this is where I think this album really differs from television, is it sounds much more intimate, which is weird in some ways, right? Like, I'm assuming that... I mean, there's obviously a full band here, but it feels very much like a solo album. Like,
well, because television was obviously they're a band, but it's really it was a partnership between Tom Verlaine and Richard Lloyd, I think, and both of them are great guitarists.
Yeah.
Lloyd, much more of a technician.
Yeah.
and probably the better player, to be honest, in that era, the television years, certainly. Verlaine, not as technically... I mean, he's still very, very good, but not as sort of a technician. But
yeah, which I think is why this is much more pop soundy,
warm sort of vibe to his.
Yeah,
it's a lot more satisfying, and I think removing that kind of split of the two of them, because they used to kind of alternate lead. So if you listen to the first two tracks, I think it is off Marquee Moon, Venus, and mental blank on what the first track is. But I think from memory, Lloyd is the lead guitar on the first track, and then Verlaine certainly is the lead guitar on Venus. And they have a very different feel.
Yeah, yep.
So you've just got that with this album. But you do, there's 3 or 4 of the tracks, you've got keyboards, which is
it's really 80s pop. Yeah.
Penetration, you don't hear them quite as prominently, but the next track, Always, the keys are really quite a feature.
Yeah. Yeah, Always is probably one of my favorite tracks. I don't think it's my number one.
80s.
Yeah.
It's an 80s pop song.
100%.
That's where this album, the first 2 tracks, when I first listened to this, because I'd listened to his first solo album first, because I got a box set of his first 4 solo albums.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Weirdly, this is by far the best of the 4, but weirdly, his 5th solo album, which is unavailable. It's really, I've heard it once.
Yeah.
I won't say how. You can't find it. If it was on Spotify, I would have been torn as to which one to give you.
Yeah, okay.
It's the other one that's worth. This is by far the best of those first 4, though. But the first 2 tracks on this, I was like, oh yeah, it's more television. Always is where you sort of go, oh no, this is an 80s pop album.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, then you get the Blue Robe, which is an instrumental.
Yep.
I don't love it. It's my least favorite track on the album.
Oh, okay.
Like it's fine, but it really feels like a bit of nothing to me. I'm just not here for it.
Ooh, gosh.
Yeah, your face is telling me that you strongly disagree with that.
Oh, no, strongly is a strong term. No, I enjoy it. I don't skip it when I play this. Well, I can't because it's final, but I wouldn't if I could. I think I don't think it's filler. I think it's...
Oh, it feels a lot like filler to me, which is why it's weird that it's at track 4 there. I feel like it belongs at like 6, like right in the middle of the album, like an intermission almost.
I mean, I think it gives a bit of a break before we get to kind of one of the more ballady...
And there's quite a few ballady tracks on this album. Yeah. And again, I really like that track. I like just about every track on this album. Like even the Blue Robe, I might have sounded too harsh. I don't hate it. I just don't love it. Like it does feel like a filler track to me. And it's not a bad track. I just want to get to the next song.
I think Without a Word is probably one of my favourites, along with Always. Over the few years since I first heard this album, I think it's grown on me to be one of the things that I love. I really love on this album.
Well, I think my favourite track might be Fragile. It's hard to say. There's a lot that I like, but I really like this one.
You say, oh, I just don't know. It's not so safe. And it gets so tiresome playing dead. There's
if it's just that riff. It has a kind of early Cure vibe to me, like we're in like, you know, Three Imaginary Boys territory.
Is it Fragile or Future in Noise that's got the really ripper solo in the middle? I can't remember.
I think that's Future in Noise.
Because he's got a couple of nice. None of them are long solos, but there's a couple of real ripper guitar solos on this album.
Yeah.
Kindness to strangers, cruelty to your friends. These are in the nothing regime. 20 miles of hallways, burning glass. That's just where that kind of stuff lived. Who can believe?
Yeah, I do really dig this album, and I love the production of it. Like I was saying, I think it just has such a different sound to television.
There's Mark E. Moon's, despite the kind of proficiency of the musicianship, it's a fairly raw album.
Yeah.
Which you would expect for that era. CBGB, there's not a lot of money behind it. It's fairly unpolished. It's just made by people that really know what they're doing and they're good at it, so it still sounds awesome. Whereas this is, I think, really nicely produced, and you can tell that there's more money behind it. It's a more polished product.
It's very polished, and it is. I really, really, really love the sound to it. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of The Cars, who I'm a big fan of. It's really 80s power pop. Even like, you know, you keep talking about what a distinct voice he has. I think his singing on this sounds very different to how it did on Marky Moon.
I think partly it's the recording. Everything's a little bit more polished and the edges are softened out and everything. But he's also, what are we now, 81?
81.
So he's like 4 or 5 years older or
Yeah,
if not
I guess,
more.
yeah.
So he'd be mid-20s or something now. So he's just a bit more mature, and I think everything's just a little bit more adult about this. It's not sort of pimply youths with attitude. He's a proper professional now. So I think it's less raw in that sense as well.
Yeah.
Ask for me and
Yeah, I really dig that track too. Actually, that's quite high up there. I'm a big fan of this album. I have to ask, is he still producing music today?
No, he's dead.
Okay, all right. Did he up to his death?
He's when did he die? Not that long ago. 2023. I don't think he was going all the way up the early 2000s. I want to say. Let me just check.
Okay, I'm just curious because given how different
2006 was his last album.
I'm just curious because given how different the tone and the production and everything is from this and Marky Moon, I'm just curious what kind of progression he had. Like, how different are all of his solo albums? Because did he mostly stay as a solo artist from this point?
Yeah. There's no more apart from that brief reunion in like '92 or something for television, which is not crap, but it's not hugely noteworthy. So the first 4 albums, which were between 79 and 84, they're not hugely dissimilar, or even though Dreamtime is a notable standout in terms of quality. Flashlight, which is the other one I was mentioning in 1987, is very, very good. I haven't heard... so he had an album, The Wonder, in 1990, Warm and Cool in 92. There's an anthology in 96, which presumably is a studio thing. That was in 96. 2006, 10 years later, there's Songs and Other Things, which I'm going to check because I have a feeling...
Sounds like a B-sides and rarity type thing rather than a studio album, yeah.
Oh no, wait on. It's just an album.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, no, it's just an album. So yeah, he came back after a 10 plus year. Well, no, because if the anthology is an anthology,
Yeah, then it'd be longer than
it's a double. Yeah, so it was a double album compilation. So Songs and Other Things in 2006, and before that, the Woman Calls in 92.
Right.
So yeah, good 14, 15 year gap, and then one more album, literally 2006, and then nothing. Like kind of retired by the looks of it.
Yeah, right. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of this album, and I'm really curious to go ahead and check out some others. I might go straight to the anthology next,
Yeah,
and
if you
that'll
can-
kind
let
of
me
give
know
me
if
a
you've-
good sense of.
I haven't looked for that stuff. I'm assuming some of it's on Spotify, but I do know that Flashlight is not.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know why it's just not anywhere.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan. I'd say, oh man, you know what? Let's say an 8 out of 10. I really, really dig it. I love the style. I like his songwriting. I think his lyrics are great. Like Penetration is one of the classiest songs about fucking out there. So, yeah, I'm a big fan. Yeah.
No, awesome. I thought you'd like this. It's not a million miles from Marquee Moon, but different enough to warrant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Listening to it for contrast.
Yeah.
What am I doing next week?
Well, next week I'm giving you a band that you're familiar with, but I don't think you're familiar with this album. I know that you are familiar with Noah and the Whale.
Yes,
I know
Love of
that-
an Orchestra.
Yes, which is from their first album, Blue Skies. No, not First Day of Spring.
Yeah,
I'm-
the whole album's a depressing thing about breakups or something, and then
Yeah, it's a concept
one,
album, basically.
One kind of funky song.
I'm giving you their follow-up album to that, which stylistically is really different. We're going from
Okay.
kind of orchestral folk to 80s pop, effectively, is what this album is. And it's
More 80s pop.
yeah, it's kind of fitting. I'm giving you their follow-up album, which is called Last Night on Earth, which
Okay.
I don't think you're familiar with.
No.
Okay,
Cheery title.
sweet. All right, well, that's what I'm giving you next.
Awesome. All
So I'll be
right.
curious to hear what you think about it. So, all right. Thank you for joining us here at the Hunt for the Perfect Album. You can get in touch with us at pottymouthradio.com and pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Go join the Facebook listener community and the Patreon and all that good stuff. And I'm going to play us out with Mary Marie by Tom Verlaine.
Oh, good choice.